right, we're moving on with more on gestures and new interaction technologies, and we have a speaker from another technology giant coming all the way from Seattle. And as he's setting up, I'm going to tell his entire life story. No, seriously, we have Eyal Ofek from Microsoft Research. Give him a big hand.
Okay. Okay. Great. Thanks. All right. So good afternoon. And I was requested to come here and present one of the works from last year that we presented a month ago, which was called the Room. But before I present that, let me tell you a bit about myself and other things that we do. So how did I got here? I'm basically coming from a background of computer vision and graphics and interaction. We worked on the first real-time time-of-flight cameras, and then worked on interaction with cameras, reconstruction of objects from the world, from cities to a hair structure of people, and did several years on Virtual Earth, where we did the first street-side prototype, and worked on privacy and recovery of information, transitions, and so on. So, so the first, what we do now, our focus is on interacting with digital content that we consume in the real world, because I don't have to sell that too much to this audience, where we see more and more people interacting with free data here and now in the real world, not inside the frame of a computer or a special screen. And this generates its own problems, and I'll mention some of the works that we presented this year. And again, in Kai, we looked at the problem of augmenting conversations between people. We see already people start walking with wearable computing devices, and one of the areas which there is a social acceptance problem is when people are talking, and one of them or two of them are using augmentation. How can we still maintain a natural conversation? And we look at pairs of people that we come in, and one of the people is getting information which is relevant for the conversation, and try to see how much can we stretch the barrier, how much can we put information without the other person getting annoyed. Other works we're looking at on the system level on augmented reality. Most of the works that we see on augmented reality are, let's run one application on a phone, on a device, and let's see how it works. What's going to happen once we will have an actual device that run multiple applications? There's some applications that we want to have an access to confidential information, for example, safety, while maybe an application that I'm downloading from the network, I don't want to be able to listen to everything I'm saying. So how to generate an operating system that can do different layers of information to different applications, and also on the way save computation, because it's not that we need to analyze the information for each one of the applications by itself. So I invite you to look at those works. What I'll talk about is the work of Illumroom, which was done last summer. And this is a joint work with Brett Jones from Illinois, and Hervoye Benko and Andy Wilson from Microsoft Research. So what is Illumroom? What we looked at was the TV experience. This takes a lot of time of our life. We sit down and we look at the TV, and if we look over the history, we can see that there was an intention to make that experience as much as impressive and get it more immersive. And one of the things that we see is the growing sizes of TV that try to fill more and more of our visual area. However, this has to stop at some point. One, because really big TVs tend to be rather pricey, but I assume price will go down. But even the largest TV that covers, say, the whole wall, and I, at home, like to project over a whole wall and play on the Xbox, it doesn't cover our full field of view. We still see the floor, the ceiling above us, the walls to the side, and something even more common is that most people just don't have a special room associated with viewing. There's other things in life that happens, toys, furniture, mess. We have to deal with the fact that the reality is all around us. So how can we make the viewing or playing more immersive? And so in this work, what we do is we keep the television. The television is the focal point of the room, but try to get whatever we see in it, let it bleed outside, get it out of the trap of the frame of the television. So, as I said, this was first presented, and we don't hear audio. Nothing on. Okay. All right. Hopefully, after that, there will be an audio. Okay, so I'll let it a bit play, and you can see a bit a notion of that. Okay, so can you see? Okay. Yeah, let me see if you got it. Did it got a video? Yeah, maybe I'm not getting it out. Anyway, so what do we actually look at? We have the TV, which is the main display, and we put the secondary display, in which case was a commercial projector, which was covering a larger area of the room. And this projector was also accompanied by a depth sensor. Okay. So why did we keep the television inside? This enabled us to get away from the strict needs of the quality for the fovea. The TV display is as was before, where we add a low-resolution display around it, and that fits the structure of the human vision, where we mostly see the high-resolution color in the center, while the peripheral vision mostly is sensitive to motion. So here's our projector, and we got the Kinect camera connected to it that sees basically the same view angle. And the setup is totally automatic. It takes about 30 seconds that we put in, and it calibrates relative to the room and the TV. So what can we do with that? First thing, which seems very the naive way to do that, is just to project, have a bigger picture, and let's project it onto the room. The problem is that the room is not a projection screen. It has different colors, different albedo. It has geometry, which is not flat, and we need to compensate for all that. So if you see here on the left, and now we have an audio. Okay, so on the left is a cured video which takes into account the geometry and the reflection, so that when it's projected onto the furniture, it will be taking care as much as possible of the color of the furniture. And obviously, you can see that it cannot do 100% work. Projectors don't have that enough contrast to overcome dark furniture. And also, you can find TVs in different environments that there's really little that we can do to compensate for the geometry there. So what can we do with that? As I mentioned, the first thing that we could is just extract the game content out to the world. So in this sense, we still see the high quality of the game inside the TV, while we see around us, all over the room, including the ceiling and the floor and the walls outside, the continuation of content of the room. It's nice, it's immersive, but it's a bit misleading for the user, because at the end of the day, what we want him is to keep the focus on the TV, because that's where the game really is. So another option is to show only limited information outside. For example, here we show edges of the scene, which mostly, when you sit close to the TV, it's mostly you get the motion out of that, and this is much less sensitive to the colors of the room. Or we can play with the idea that the room is sort of a spaceship in the game world, where we just remove the wall behind the furniture, and through that wall we actually see the game world. And this way the furniture here is actually standing between us and the game world. And we can also do that and use it as a tool for the game itself. For example, we can choose several items in the game and show only them coming into the real world. For example, here, shots and resources in the game may appear as something that we can see outside the TV. For example, this gun, we can still see the light as we move around, and it increases the detectability of this. And to the extreme, we can just go for totally abstract effects like star fields or grid, or things that will give the user the notion of the motion, but doesn't relate at all to the content of the game. So we can get things from the game outside of the world, but we actually wanted to do more. We wanted to break the glass to a user. When he's playing, he feels safe. Everything which is virtual is from the other side of the glass. And we wanted to get the real world of the gamer into the game. So we can actually capture the structure and the color of the room and play with it. For example, we can change colors. Maybe we see an old movie and we want to make the room more saturated or black and white or cartoon-like, according to the content of the game. And furthermore, things in the game could be rather drastic. There's explosions, there's shootings, and we want to translate that into the real world. So if there was an accident or an explosion in the game, suddenly the plants, the furniture all around are shaking as a result of the game action. And you can think of that. That was just an example. There's bullet holes and dust can come out and more effects. Furthermore, let's say that I'm driving a car, whether it is a game or a movie, and the car is driving and it's turning around and the sun changes direction. If this room is indeed a spaceship that follows the car, then the lighting in the room will change just as well. So here is our car, and it goes past the lights, and think that we're driving right now in a cabriolet. And the same also we can add things from the narrative. of the game and put that into the real world. For example, in this game, it's a snowy environment, and snow particles falls not just in the game, but also in the user's room just as well, accumulating on the furniture, accumulating on the floor. And you won't see here, but if someone is walking on the floor, he leaves foot tracks in the snow. So as the car is driving, we can see the effect on the wind on the snowflakes. Okay, 1 minute, okay. And I'm sorry that I cannot show too much, but the holy grail is eventually to get the game to actually participate in the real world. So here's, let's say I'm playing a modern warfare and someone is throwing a grenade in, and that grenade is falling into the room and rolling under the coffee table, and I still hear him ticking. Now, not just, and obviously we can use not just those effects and combine them together and have a whole narrative plays on that. Now, you can think of it as an axis that goes from physical environment to totally virtual environment, and here are different levels that we bring from the virtual environment into our real room. You can also think of effects that are more dependent on the game to effects which are more general, for example, the motion effects, which is, for example, Starfield, to effects that actually use content from the game outside in the room. And not just gaming, broadcasting too. We could have both the high-quality video inside as well as external content, and that could follow the same rules whether we want it inside the whole room, on some part of the room. Many people, when they watch TV today, they have a second screen. We can put that there just as well. And the way we did that video was to take a main camera that takes the video as well as another camera that has a wide field of view. Now, this doesn't have to be a very high-quality camera. You can think of a broadcast camera and another camera that has a fisheye lens that takes the view for the room, and that could be streamed separately over the net. Okay, I'm running out of time, so I'll just open up for questions. Okay. Yes.
How large of an area is that able to cover?
As I said, we used off-the-shelf projector, not one which is too costly, just as well. Nowadays, the short throw projectors, they have really wide angle. They could get to 60, 70 degrees sometimes. And you can put another lens in front of that or to project onto a curved mirror. So you can almost get to 180 degrees. And you can use multiple projectors just as well and have the full room covered. But again, this one was aimed at people that watch the television. So they probably will not turn 180 degrees and watch the other way. So it's just to fill in their peripheral vision. Yes?
Is this still strict research, or is there a product roadmap that
Well, we for research,
Repeat
our
the
job
question.
is to come out with new concept and to show feasibility and so on. This was a research project. It was presented in academic forum. Whether this will go into a product is an issue of product teams.
It's a different department.
Yeah.
All right, thanks very much, Eyal. That was great.
Okay.